Welcome to the Journey of Self-Growth podcast, episode
Alrighty.
27. I'm Keeton, the host of this event, which is created so myself and others can share a perspective on the concept of it in hopes that one another's journeys would be relatable, establishes awareness, and inspires listeners to adopt and maintain such behavior. The definition of self-growth is the process of developing new one and the same. Oh, she said it's no sound. Okay, can you hear me now, Leah? Can you hear me now, Leah? If you can post a comment, I would appreciate that.
You're going in and out. Like I can hear you and then I can't hear you.
Okay. Leah, can you hear me now? Like,
I
if
can hear you
anybody,
now.
you can hear me now. Can you hear me now, Bill? Okay. She said now she can hear me. Um,
Yeah, I still can't hear you.
okay. Let's see what we can do here. So there's and the listeners can hear me, but it seems that my guests cannot hear me. So this is something unexpected. Hopefully, what I'll do is I will ask him a question separately, and then I will ask and then I'll repeat the question for the listeners, because apparently his connection he's having a delay. But I'm going to introduce him. His name is Billy Keeton. And if you can give me a few seconds, I
Can
will
you
ask
can you
him
hear
to
me?
introduce himself.
Uh, Hello everybody, my name is Billy Keeton. Southside Richmond native. Grew up there pretty much most of my life. Got a 17-year-old son that pretty much looks and acts just like me. And God, I mean, pretty intelligent dude, real meek and mild mannered, just like his dad. Pretty much been in retail most of my life, working Blockbuster, doing security, and uh, from 2008 to 2017, I was working at a pawn shop in downtown Oakland. I've seen some pretty crazy things up there. People pawning items that have roaches and stuff crawling out of them, like video game systems, all kind of different stuff. But I've also had the pleasure of meeting tons of amazing people, and it's pawn shops get like a pretty bad rap uh, because of a negative stigma, but they're actually pretty awesome places. And it's like people come and then bring in their jewelry, electronics, musical equipment, things like that. And some people just pretty much use us as like a storage because they don't want anybody like in their place. They may not trust people who are around. I've had uh, I've had plenty of musicians keep their uh, their guitars and their keyboards in the pawn shop for years, just for storage, and and most of them came down there just to say hi. They didn't really come to pawn anything because I got like really good customer service skills. So some people just come down there to see me. Well, they used to before I got into security.
So someone said, get your hand out of your face. Uh,
Okay,
so for those, I appreciate everybody tuning in. So
I
some
still
people,
can't. I still can't hear you. Like anytime you press the button, I can hear you, but when you don't, it going in and out.
okay. So for those who are tuning in, Billy is having some connection issues. So um, I'm gonna make a question. I'm gonna comment a question to him. I'm gonna say a question so that the listeners can listen, and then I'm going to take a second or two to repeat that question to him because apparently he cannot hear it. But if you can be patient and take your time, hopefully all will be well. So my next question to him will be, what would be his perspective on the concept of growth?
Um, let's see. You have to do a lot of inventory. You got to do some mental, emotional, uh, physical, and some spiritual inventory. You got to see the things that you do have, the things that you don't. Work on your strengths and your weaknesses. Like if you feel like you're not good at like talking to people, maybe you just got to get out there and go to social circles. Not necessarily like a party, but maybe like a lounge or a park, and then just talk to people. Get get your communication skills up. Because communication means a lot in this day and age, especially now. You gotta be able to communicate the things that you want, the things that you need to be able to provide for yourself and the other people that are in your circle if you have them.
I can relate to what he said. Um, and so my next question to him will be, how is he currently growing?
I'm currently growing by getting in more exercise, mostly at work. And so I carry my kettlebell around when I'm doing security, hit my push-ups. Um, I'm, I'm looking to get like another job so I can grow financially because security is fine and all, but I need something more, and I need pretty much multiple sources of income coming in order to do the things I want to do, like go on vacations, take care of my family, do a lot more self care, eat better, just become like a better person, and you need resources for that. So
Mm,
the the more resources you have, the better off you'll be if you have the wherewithal to use those resources to your advantage.
mm. And I'm going to ask him, where is his, what is his passion?
My passion, my passion has always been uh, working with people to grow like mentally and emotionally and spiritually. It's like ever since I was younger, I wanted to be a psychologist or a counselor, but I kind of like put those things on the back burner because I felt like it would take way too much time. And Like I noticed that you don't really need a degree for that, seeing as though they have so many like social media influencers and things of that nature. So I was thinking about delving into that. It's like working on myself and then helping people work on themselves at the same time. And it's like I'm going to work on building a platform for that, so I can touch and reach as many people as possible with that.
I'm going to ask him what experiences has he taken from his previous job, which was the working in a pawn shop, which is unique to some people who have little limited experiences.
Um, one of the main ones is cliche. Never judge a book by its cover. There are plenty of people who look either downtrodden or angry, or they can look like anything. And then some of these people can be like one of the most important people in your life. It's like you can sit there and for example, I had this one older gentleman one day. Uh, he came up to he came up to my register out of all the people that was working on that day. It was like me and four other people. And he came up to my register and he had like a massive attitude. Like he had something going on in his life that wasn't going too right. And I asked him how I could help him. He takes his ring off and he throws it at me. And he's like, I need some money for this. How much can you give me for it? And I'm just like, we're going to start this over and then I'm going to help you. But that attitude is necessary. We're not going to do that today. And he was like, I ain't got time to be playing with Young A. Like, just give me some money for this. So I'm just like, we're not going to do that. You're going to respect me and I'm going to respect you. So this long conversation goes on. I test his ring. It was a pretty hefty ring. It had some pretty nice diamonds in it. And I think he only wanted, I think it was like maybe like $200 for it, right? Because he needed it for something very important. And when I gave him the estimate for it, it came up to like $1,000, and then his attitude immediately changed. And he respected that I kept calm with him, and I respected him, and I wasn't allowing him to have like any negative energy towards me because that day wasn't the day for it. And it was like he was still like flustered, and I was like, you know what? And it's like I felt it. It's like God told me to go get that man up. So I came from around the counter, and I just gave him like a really big hug, and he immediately started crying. And I was like, "It's all right, man. Don't worry about it. Like whatever you're going through is temporary." And it's like I understand we all go through something sometimes, and we all may lash out when we really don't mean to against somebody who has nothing to do with our issue. And he gave me another hug, and I finished his transaction and I gave him his money, and then he ended up leaving, came back anywhere between like a few weeks and a month later, and he like really thanked me for helping him, even though he had like that nasty attitude. So you never know how you can transmute your energy to somebody else and how much you can affect them. So like don't take somebody's like attitude towards you personally sometimes, because it has nothing to do with you a good portion of the time. If somebody's already coming at you angry, they probably have something that's going on with them internally, and then they kind of like lash out at everybody else. So you kind of got to use your discernment as well. Like don't just let anybody talk crazy to you, but also be aware of like your environment, check their tone, and try to have a conversation with them. It's like I said, communication is one of the biggest keys in life. You got to be able to talk to people. It's like, and the better your communication skills are, the better off you'll be, because you'll know how to uh, pretty much manipulate the situation better in your favor, just in case things like that happen to you.
I'm going to pause for a second to communicate with him briefly, and then I'm going to share my interpretation of what he says. He's having some connection issues, but I have a way to address it. So give me 1 second.
Of course, of course, of course.
So based on what he was, the way I interpret what he was saying is that the man who came into the pawn shop who worked with him is seemed frustrated by the circumstances that I guess preceded the experience that Billy was having when he was working at the pawn shop, and it seems like the man was focusing on the abstract, which was the dollar, the expectation of getting the dollar, and it seems like sometimes we can fall into the temptation of focusing on the expectancy of circumstances that that are yet to be seen, and I think that it is possible to focus on what should happen, but I like to focus on what is happening. And I think when it comes to money, money can be the byproduct of growth, but it can also be a distraction if it is not earned. And I think sometimes when people focus on money rather than growth or developing their skills, which is a byproduct, at least for me, of earning money, it seems the money is basically a validation for the expectation of getting the money in the first place. And so for him expecting to get paid by my cousin, which had a reaction that he didn't want to listen or that didn't fit the narrative of his expectation, seemed to cause frustration as a result of my cousin reacting. And my cousin, sensing something that he probably related to in his life, inspired him to walk across the counter and give him a hug, rather than reflecting the energy that the man was expressing through being rude and disrespectful, which I admire someone to have that type of willingness to do in those types of situations. I can relate to it myself, and I think the ability to have compassion is a skill in itself, because when we experience those unexpectancies in life, it's like, how do we address it in that moment? And so I think by my cousin initiating, giving the man a hug, it seemed to help the man, but it also helped Billy to have a stronger bond in terms of a relationship with someone other than that's not himself. And he saw the byproduct of that by the man following up with him days later and having a more sense of maturity. So my question that I'm going to ask Billy is, what is why is psychology a valuable resource for people?
Is it's a beneficial tool for people to help find out how their mind works and the mind of others work around them. Like to see where your faults are, where your strengths and weaknesses are, and how to better focus on how to help yourself and how to help others, and to discern certain certain elements of your personality that are good, bad, and in between. You can better navigate through life.
So my question for him is, what is it intent for learning psychology to better understand himself, or is it for relational purposes other than having a sense of his own well-being? So this is what I'm going to ask him.
It's a combination of both of those things. I think the better I understand myself, the better I can understand other people as well.
I'm going to ask him, how has psychology been of benefit to him in his current life?
It's it's helped me navigate a lot of different relationships that I've had with friends, family members, romantic relationships, just everyday life. I've I've grown a lot, seeing as I've been through some emotional traumas as a kid, some as an adult, um, and I noticed that there are people that have been in my life who have gone through similar things and different things, and you can't you can't necessarily fault some people for what they've gone through, and everybody's on a different on a different level of growth. And some people you can keep in your life based on that. Some people you got to let go because you moved past that level and you've healed, and some people haven't. So then some people are in like a toxic relationship within themselves. So then that toxicity bleeds out in the relationship with you and others. So you can either choose to stay and keep these people in your life and try to help them if they want to help themselves, or you have to distance yourself from that because you don't want to go back to those places with that person. You don't want to experience those kinds of levels of toxicity and 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 being stagnant in one place. Like I've had several friendships in because people don't like to take accountability for their actions. And somebody may do something to you based off of something that you said or did to them. And when you try to get some understanding of that, sometimes you don't. Sometimes people don't know how to communicate how they felt about what you did to them. So they either shun you and push you away, or they keep you around, but then they only keep you around to do more damage to you because they felt slighted. So in that aspect, you gotta use your discernment, see if you can repair the relationship that you have between you and that person or you and those people. And if not, you gotta move on, because if you don't, you're constantly gonna be in a state of toxicity with these people. And that may bring your morale down. That may bring down your spirit in your personality by being around people who aren't on the same wavelength as you. So yeah, sometimes it's best to leave those people alone. Sometimes you can try to see if you can help them, but that's not always the case. And it's unfortunate, but that's just how life is. Some people you grow with, and some people you grow past.
and I'm gonna ask him when had I'm asking for some examples of how or when he's used his intellect with psychology in scenarios where he could grow in that situation.
Um, one of them is I had a friend who didn't reciprocate the communication and the kind of friendship that I had towards her. Right, it was like I would call and check up on her like all the time, making sure that she was good, but I never got that same kind of attention. And when I fell back from it, it's like I didn't exist. And then we would come to a mutual space and it's like, oh, hey, I ain't seen you and heard from you in a long time. And I'm just like, yeah, because the friendship wasn't being reciprocated. It's like if I'm constantly calling and checking up on you and you're not doing the same for me, it's not beneficial. And there's this there's this book that I read called Dark Psychology by William Cooper, and it tells about situations like that. It's like when I addressed the situation, he was like, "Oh, well, I'm going through some things with a family member of mine. He's not doing all that well, and things have just been hectic." And it's like I understand that, and I sympathize, but your relationship with your family member has nothing to do with the relationship that you have with me as my friend. So, are we going to continue to be friends and then reciprocate the same energy? Or are you going to still be absent? Because if that's going to be the case, then it's like we can be cordial. You know what I'm saying? We can be acquaintances, but I don't do my friends like that. Unless I grew up with you, unless I have friends that that I know like that, because I met her like a few years ago. And that relationship ended a few years ago. Like my friends that I grew up with, we don't have to talk all the time because once we talk again, it's like we never stop talking. But then there's always some kind of feedback in between time. Like they either check on me or I check on them, and vice versa. But when it's just one person checking up on another person, that's not a friendship. At least that's my viewpoint on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this happened a second time, and I just said, "Well, best of luck to you. I still pray for you, but this friendship is not. This friendship is ending because I'm not going to be in a place where I'm just constantly on the outward end, and you're going through something all the time, and I'm constantly speaking love and light into you, but I'm not getting the same thing back, like almost ever. Like if I'm constantly calling and checking up on you, and you're constantly doing bad, then that's a reflection of how you are as a person. Like you're constantly sitting in a perpetual state of negativity. Like you're always sick, you always have a problem, you always have an issue. There's always something going on that's negative. Like you never tell me anything positive. So in situations like that, if somebody doesn't have anything positive to say to you, they're constantly in the place of their cup being empty, quote unquote, and you're constantly pouring into their empty cup, and their cup has a hole in it. You're not getting back anything from them because they can't pour into your cup because they don't have anything to pour. So in those situations, you have to let those people go, and you have to stick around with the people who pour back into your cup, so your cups are constantly full. Because if you're in a negative relationship with somebody where it's constantly you're constantly giving them something, you're constantly putting into them, and they're not putting anything into you, you're at a deficit. And life is all about, life is all about growth, and life is all about being a net positive. You got to love yourself and love others. If you're not getting that same love or any love from somebody and you're constantly pouring into them, you're constantly giving away a valuable resource, and that's your life. So you don't want to give your life to somebody who's not giving life back into you.
So Billy is a father. I'm going to ask him, based on his decision to distance himself from the individual who wasn't reciprocating the energy that he was providing in terms of the nurturing intent. How is he, in contrast to that relationship that he distanced himself from, is providing the nurturing that he hopes for to experience with his son?
Uh, like I said earlier, like my son is a lot like me, and he's a sponge. He soaks up tons of information, and I talk to him all the time about his friendships and relationships. He told me recently about uh, a friendship that was souring, that was somewhat similar. And I told him the same thing that we're talking about. It's like if you're not in a place where people are for you as you are for them, if you're not getting like 50-50, 60-40, 70-30 kind of like friendship, and those relationships with those people aren't beneficial for you because they're constantly going to be taking something from you, leaving you at a deficit instead of giving back to you and then keeping you good. And and he shed some tears about that because he's had some people that have wronged him in life. And the only thing I can do is to give him the tools. Of course, he's my son and I don't want him to go through anything like negative, but the only thing I can do is give him the tools and then he has to take these experiences and then learn from them himself. He's bounced back quite a lot with some of his friendships and ex friendships.
I'm going to ask him. So, in his bio, he had mentioned that he refers to himself as an armchair comedian, which is something I'm unfamiliar with the term. So, I'm going to ask him to elaborate on what the armchair comedian means. And for those who are just joining in, he's having some connection issues in terms of hearing me, but I can manually send him a message, which you may not hear. But if you can give us a moment, he will be able to address my question that I'm stating to you now.
I'm not uh, somebody who gets on stage or like is like actually like dealt with like being like a comedian. But I do like make a lot of people laugh all the time with like my random thoughts. Like I have a coworker and a few friends that I always make laugh with the random jokes that I tell, and it's basically just mainly observational comedy. It's like I'll see something that looks a little bit funny, and then I'll say like a funny quip about it, and then my friends always laugh about it. So it's like I I have yet to get on stage to try something like some stand up, but I do have like some crazy stories and some crazy experiences in life that make you go, "Nah, that can't be true."
I'm going to ask him
Just
about.
like I'll give one example. Um, there was this one day where it was like peak COVID, right? And Like everything closed down early, restaurants, stores, everything. And I forgot my lunch, and I had to go to work. Then I pulled a 12, so I'm pretty much starving because I ain't had nothing. Gas stations were even closed, and then my commute back home was like 2 hours. So I'll go to this Jack in the Box by my house. I'm just like, all right, I'm about to get this new. They had this new breakfast sausage sandwich called a maple sausage sandwich, which is pretty much the Jack in the Box version of a griddle. And I pull into the parking lot. I get the drive through line. I'm just like, all right, this is about to be a breeze. I'm about to get this food, get this new sandwich. Hopefully, it's pretty good. Call it a day. I pull in behind these two cars that are in the drive through. 15 minutes roll by before I'm able to even talk to the lady at the drive through box. I'm just like, what are they doing in it? So I pull up to the box. Crickets. I'm just like, hello? The lady says, ah, yeah. I'm just like, ah, yeah. It's not karate. It's Jack in the Box. What is that? What is this response? Whatever. I'm hungry. I'm just trying to get this food. I said, can you help me? He's like, yeah, what do you want? Service? Like, where is this attitude coming from? So I said, let me get 2 maple sausage sandwiches and a double jack with cheese. Huh? Let me get 2 maple sausage sandwiches and a double jack with cheese. I can't understand you. I'm already human. I'm just like, let me get 2 maple sausage sandwiches and a double jack with cheese. I can't understand you. Pull up to the window. So I'm like, all right. So I'm on fumes. It's like I'm angry. I'm hungry. I'm angry. I just trying to get this food. I'm so out of it and angry that I'm not even paying attention to my car. As I'm turning around the corner, my tires went across the curb, but I don't care. I'm just trying to get these sandwiches. As I'm pulling up through the window, I'm trying to reach in my pocket to get my wallet so I can pay this lady for this food. She has her head out the window yelling at me, sir, 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 sir. I'm just like, what? I only got one bread. You want one bread? What does that even mean? Do you have one, like a single piece of bread? You got 2 buns? Like, what does one bread mean? I only got one bread. Do you want one bread? I said, no, don't even worry about it. I could probably make better food at home anyway. So I pull into the parking lot because I'm trying to collect myself because I know this lady didn't ask me that. I know she didn't ask me that question. I was like, whatever, I'm just go home. And I'll probably come back tomorrow when they have bread. Because I want these breakfast sausage sandwiches because they new and I want to try them. Here's the kicker. As I'm pulling out of the parking lot, guess what's parked right next to the front door? The bread truck. I almost lost my mind up in that Jack in the Box. I was like, you know what? I don't even need to be eating this. I don't, but I want it. Whatever. So I'm a glutton for punishment, right? I like the way life whoops me a little bit. So I'll go back the next day because they got bread. I pull into the parking lot. I see 2 cars in the drive-thru. I was like, not today, Satan. You're not going to get me. Nope. Nope. So I pull around, I park my car, and I head into the Jack in the Box. It's like, all right, it's 3 people in here. There's a couple right next to the soda machine, and there's some weird dude in the back. I don't know if he twiddling his fingers. I don't know if he digging into stuff. He got his back turned. He doing something weird with his hands. I really don't care. I'm far enough away from him just in case he do something crazy. I can run out the store and then get home. 3 minutes roll by before I see somebody behind the counter. Guess who it is? It's Mrs. One Bread. I'm just like, again, today, why you gotta work? I see this lady. She starts to walk like behind the counter. I'm just like, all right, cool. She about to serve me. I see her, see me, see her. We make eye contact. This lady picks up a bag of fries, cuts a bag of fries open, pours the fries into the grease, and then walks over to the drive-thru. I was like, long story short, them sandwiches was good because I finally got them, but I'd never want to go through nothing like that again. It is absolutely bonkers. Who says, do you want one bread? Have you ever heard that before? First time for everything.
That was a
Makes no
funny
sense.
story. That was a funny story. I'm gonna ask him what was the lesson from that experience.
You could either A, chalk up something as a loss because you can't have it, or be persistent enough to until you get it. It all depends on how important it is to you. If something is very important to you, don't let no obstacle stand in your way. But if it's something medium, you don't gotta have it. You know, get the next best thing. Like you don't necessarily have to have the best thing all the time. But if you get something close to it, then get that. If you can't get the best thing for you.
So Billy is also a avid book reader. He reads a variety of different novels. I forget offhand how many books he's read, but I'm gonna ask him how many books he's read so far, and why does he why does the books he reads attract? Why is he attracted to those particular types of books?
I've lost count how many books I read. But I remember it was in between the years of 20 2011 2009 to like 2012. But like I was like on like a major spree of just reading books. It was one year I read 14. Uh, and the next year it was 16, and then the year after that was 15. And I kind of like dropped off because life was getting a little tough around that time, and I wasn't able to read as much. But um, I normally like to read either self help books, it's either those or science fiction, fantasy, or horror. Because like sometimes I like to get away from the monotony of real life, and I need something to like expand my imagination. So I read like some pretty crazy and obscure stuff.
I'm gonna ask him um, what was his favorite book and why.
Favorite book. Favorite book. Lately, I still have to finish it, but I think one of my favorite books recently is The Dark Psychology and Manipulation by William Cooper, because it it pretty much helps you decipher different people's personalities and how to manipulate certain situations in your favor, as well as not get manipulated by people who don't have the best intentions for you. Because it's like there are people who are narcissistic and don't have your best interests at heart, and they're only looking to gain without nothing, without you benefiting from their gain, or they're just there to take from you. So it helps you decipher certain certain personality traits that people have that are great, and some that are not so great. So you can better navigate through life without having to worry about being a victim of somebody who's narcissistic or have like sociopathic tendencies that may cause you mental or emotional harm. Uh, yeah. And when you get a chance, I think you should pick up a copy of that too. They have it on Amazon. I got it for like a discount because there's this uh, email thing that I have called Free Booksy, and sometimes what they do is they'll send you like certain books for free, and they'll have like certain discounts in those emails for those books. And I actually got that, or I think it was maybe like $5 when it's normally like anywhere between like $9.99 to $15.99. It just depends on the sales that they have. But I got it for like $5. One of the best purchases I made in a long time because it made me realize some things about myself that I need to change. And like I used to give like a lot of people a lot of different chances that they didn't deserve to stay like in my life when they really didn't have the best intentions for me. But I had the best intentions for them, and it like I said, it helped me maneuver and get those people and push those people away so I can better myself because I was being stagnant while being in friendships and relationships with those kind of people.
And what I take from that book recommendation is when I think about manipulation, I think about possibly overlooking signs or indications that someone's intentions isn't to support my growth, but more of to enable a narrative that they want me to adopt so that I can enable whatever they're wanting me to do in their lives. And so I think for me, indicators are an essential aspect of life so that one who is uncertain or unaware of how they should conduct themselves in the present moment can sense or become aware of indications that they should move a certain way. So I'm going to ask him how essential are indicators in his life, and what would be some references or experiences that he where he used indicators to steer clear of situations that were of detriment to him.
Uh, there was a relationship that I was in where uh, I thought that this person was really for me because in the beginning it was lots of love and affection, but then it turned out that it wasn't love and affection, at least coming from their part. It was just a convenience for them, for me to be there in their lives. It was just a convenience. It's like I loved and cared about this person, and this person didn't really love and care about me. They only cared about what I could provide for them. And it's like I started to notice that the things that they did in the beginning of the relationship tapered off or were no longer there. But I was keeping up the same thing that I was doing for them. Like I would take one of her children to school every day, so she could get like some extra sleep. So I'm thinking like, because that's one of my love languages is like my love languages are physical touch, quality time, and acts of service. I really don't need gifts, and I really don't need words of affirmation that much. And so, like as long as I see you doing something for me, and I'm doing something for you, and I'm showing you that I care, and that's the main thing. You can tell somebody that you care a lot, but then if you're not showing that you care, it's kind of like goes out the window. So one day she had she got like very distant, and I confronted her about like her being like absent in the relationship. And then she said, "Oh, I was never in a relationship with you. You were in a relationship with yourself." And I just went along with it. But when we started the relationship, I was like, "Do you really want to like go for it in this relationship? Like, do you want to be with me? Because I want to be with you." And she's like, she agreed. So that kind of hit me from like left field. I'm just like, where is this coming from? And she really just didn't like me like that. It's like I was just I was just like a cool dude to be around and to do stuff. So it was like that kind of broke me up a little bit. But I wasn't using my discernment in that relationship. You know how you have like rose colored glasses on, you always seeing things in a better shade than what they are. And there were little indicators that I should have picked up that I didn't. But naivety and like they say, what is it? I forgot how the phrase goes, but they say that love and fear give off the same like hormones in your body. So maybe it was me being afraid to be alone, along with loving this person, that had me like kind of out of it because I'm experiencing this set of endorphins, serotonin, just feeling good because I got somebody instead of being like, hey, this person isn't treating you like they used to, and they aren't doing the certain things that they used to do in the beginning of relationships. So you should either check that now and see what's going on. But I just let things fall by the wayside. And when you do things like that, you kind of prolong the inevitable by just like being in that relationship, and then it gets toxic, and then people talk to you crazy. So what you have to do is use your discernment. It's like, granted, live and be in the moment, but also pay attention to the actions that people show towards you. Because if you don't, and you let things fall by the wayside that are pretty much pertinent to you as a person in your personal growth, then you could lose out, and you could I don't want to say waste time, but you could lose time in relationships with people that aren't for you.
I appreciate him sharing that. I could relate to what he was saying. I try to be intentional about not overlooking indicators because there have been times where I overlooked indicators for myself in relationships too. And I think from an accountability context, the only person that I should be frustrated with when experiencing someone lying to me over a duration of time is me also lying to myself by trying to justify the 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 things that I was seeing that demonstrated that this is a pattern, and I chose to continue to participate in those experiences. But once I willingly was bold enough to exit out of that circumstance, I felt so much better because those outcomes were no longer being attracted or manifested in my life. I'm gonna ask him a question that he had mentioned to me about a personal experience, and I think it's a valuable lesson to be learned in that as well. But I'm gonna see if it would be all right if he wants to elaborate on that. Bill,
Yeah, I
okay,
can hear
cool.
you.
Okay, can you hear me
Yeah, it
now?
said I was muted for a second.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can share it. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So this was back in 20. I think it's 2016. Uh, I had some coworkers that I thought I was cool with. At least one of them. Uh, we were working together for one of them. I was working together for some years. It's like I had actually got him uh, to work at our store in Oakland because he was working in the San Francisco store, and I saw that he had a tenacity for going for sales. So I talked to my supervisor, uh, well, not my supervisor, but my manager, to see if we can get him over to the Oakland store because he lived in Fairfield at the time. And I was like, why are you going all the way out to San Francisco when Oakland is pretty much right around the corner, few bar rides away? So I was like, just so I talked to my manager. He actually got him over to the store, and then we became friends. And then we were working together for a few years. I helped him get a few promotions, and things were cool. And then we got this new guy who seemed pretty cool as well. So we we eventually decided to go see what was it? Straight Outta Compton. So we went over to coworker's house. His uh his wife made us some food. And then we were deciding like pregame to have like a shot or two before we went to go to the movies. So I have a few shots with him, and I go to the restroom to change my clothes. And we went right after work, and I brought like an extra outfit so we go to the movies. I I come out the restroom, and the new guy was like, "Yeah, I got this shot for you." He's like, "Just chug it." He's like, "Just he's like, don't babysit it, just chug it." So I said, "All right." I'm thinking it's just another shot, and I chug it, and it tasted like burnt plastic, and I was like, What is that?" And he was, "Oh no, nothing, man." He's like, It's probably some old alcohol or something." And I was like, "Nah, that doesn't sound right." So then, of course, um, my coworker, my coworker's wife was in the kitchen, and I was holding their son while my other coworker got dressed, and and immediately, like my heart started beating like out of control, and then my vision started to darken. So I was like, I gave her son back to his mother, and then I sat on the couch and I was like, something don't feel right, and I started to lose like my motor skills. It's like I wasn't able to talk much, and then I was like, "Hey, call an ambulance." And the new guy was like, man, you good?" And I'm just like, "No, I'm not good. I feel like I'm about to die." He's like, "Nah, man." He's like, "You just tripping, man. Don't even worry about it." So I immediately called my son's mom, and I told her, I was like, "Yeah, you got to come and pick me up from from my coworker's house." And she's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm just like, "Somebody put something in my drink, and like I don't feel good." And then I immediately called like 911 because nobody was helping me. So the what you call it? It was like I just remember EMT coming there, and I'm like going in and out of consciousness. EMT came, put me on a stretcher, and then I got blackout. I'm in the ambulance. I black out again, and I'm in the hospital. And it's like when I finally I'm able to just like be somewhat coherent, the doctors had to put like a catheter in me and then drain my bladder and then stick an IV in me and then like clear my system. And they did a blood test and then and they were just the hospital. I mean, the doctor was like, "Do you know what was in the drink that you had?" And I was like, "Cause I told him like somebody spiked my drink and I don't know what was in it." And he was like, "Are you sure you don't know?" And I was like, "No." It was like the drink was given to me right after I came out the restroom. He was like, you got THC and methamphetamines in your system. I haven't done drugs ever in my life. Only thing I've ever done is pretty much drink alcohol, and that's once every blue moon, maybe like 4 or 5 times in a year. So that like really messed my system up. And it was like I've got so many different calls from friends and family members to check on me. Somebody, I had a few friends that were ready to take this dude out, and I'm just like, no, like don't, because it's all gonna lead back to me. And I was like, I don't want nothing happening to this dude, even though I almost died. I was like, I don't want nothing happening to this dude because he got kids, and they were just like, you got a kid too. Like this dude either needs to get handled or go to jail. And it's like I just prayed on it, even though I was like emotionally like drained from the situation because I felt like I can trust these people and I couldn't. My older coworker didn't know what was going on. Like the one that I brought from San Francisco over to Oakland, so he didn't know what was going on. But the new coworker, come to find out, he was like, "Oh, I thought it was Molly, and I wanted to see you turn up." I'm just like, if you don't know what it is, why would you put it in my drink? You know, and people who have like not so much the best intentions for you aren't really thinking straight a good portion of the time. He ended up getting fired a week later because he asked another one of our coworkers for some money. Could he borrow $20? And the coworker was like, "Yeah, no problem." He's like, "Oh, now never mind. I bought it. I mean, I got it." Turns out that he took the $20 from the register. So I'm just like, you ask somebody willing to give you the money that you were asking for, and yet you steal it. Like these are bad personality traits. Like you spiking people's drinks and you're stealing from the store that you work at. Doesn't make sense. So anytime you're in a situation that you're questioning that doesn't feel quite right, just exit out of it because it could save your life. So if you're with some people that aren't quite you're not quite sure about, just leave it alone. Get out of there because you never know how bad that situation might turn out for you.
Yeah, I was glad. I'm
Thankfully,
glad
I'm
he.
still here. I'm
Mhm.
healthy, and I can still provide for myself and my family.
Yeah, I'm glad he was able to overcome that situation. I'm glad that he can share his testimony with people who may be in relationships similar to what he was in, where there are indications that these people do not reflect yourself internally in terms of how you have integrity, discipline, passionate about growing yourself. And it seems like sometimes we are trained or presented with a narrative that we should be dependable on someone else for someone else. But I'm an advocate of independency, and my independence can inspire other people to be independent. But if you think that you have to, at least from my perspective, you have to be reliable, especially when people are not being self-accountable, it could be potentially dangerous to adopt such an ideology. My hope is that through being independent, others can attract other like-minded people, and through our independence, we can be supportive to each other, but not dependent on each other. Like I can make a promise, but I'm aware promises can be broken just based on the fact that unexpectancies can occur. And so if I make a promise to someone and the promise is broken due to me having to address things in the present, that could disappoint someone that I made a promise to, or I can also put an unnecessary burden on myself. So I just really encourage people to I encourage people to be independent as much as possible. There's a comment that came in. It's from Leah. She says, "Great podcast. I'm going to drop off. Have a great weekend. I hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend as well, Leah. I appreciate you dropping by. But yeah, I appreciate Billy's testimony, and hopefully other people can relate to what he was expressing as well. And I think we're going to transition on to our next phase of the podcast, which is the multiple intelligence theory.
Okay.
For those who are unaware of what the multiple intelligence theory is, there are two popular theories when it comes to intellect. One is more popular than the next, and that popular theory is adopted by a lot of institutions, especially academics. And when we graduate high school, we are tested on three intellects: mathematics, scientific, and linguistic. And supposedly, depending on how well you perform on that test, determines how intellectual you are overall. However, there is an alternative theory presented by a theorist named Howard Gardner that suggests that in addition to those three mentioned, there are 6 additional intellects that individuals possess. And those 6 additional are musical, existential, interpersonal, body kinesthetic, intrapersonal, and spatial. And the reason why I present this in the podcast is because it's possible that listeners may be unaware of these 6 intellects, and as a result may have low self-esteem due to them not having high degrees in the 3 popularized intellects: math, writing, and science. But if you are intellectually enhanced in the six others, that could be build self-confidence within an individual and inspire them to want to develop themselves even further. And there is a multitude of individuals, especially people who are famous, that exhibit high degrees of the variety of different intellects. And that's due to seemingly practice and repetition of a specific intellect. So, my question to Billy will be, of the nine multiple intelligences, which one or more does he sense he has high degrees in? And how would he suggest to listeners, based on his experience, how, how would he suggest to listeners, based on his experience, that they can increase the intellects that he has increased through effort?
Um, I'd have to say I have high intellect in interpersonal, linguistic, interpersonal, and logical and mathematical. Uh, I've experienced like quite a bit in life due to a lot of trial and error with myself, with people, situations, circumstances. Um, I know I know how to communicate well with what I want, what I don't want, based on those circumstances I went through in life. Uh, like I said, it all takes communication. Like you can't be afraid to speak up for what you want and what you don't want, because if you don't, then you'll probably never get the things that you want and you need in life. Um, one of the best teachers in life is experience and the book. You read a lot, you learn a lot, depending on depending on what you want to take up in life. Um, like I said, there are plenty of self help books to help you speak a little more eloquently. There are books to help you with like intrapersonal uh, interpersonal intelligence. You look deep inside yourself to see what your boundaries are, what your strengths and your weaknesses are, like how to better take care of yourself. Like life it can be tough. One of the best things you can do is some self care. Like and that involves like eating better, getting plenty of exercise, drinking lots of water, taking supplements if you need to, then just cultivating good relationships, excuse me, with people that are around you. And somebody always surround yourself with people that know more than you, because you're always learning something. Because if you stick around the same circle of people and you notice that your life is stagnant, that means that the people in your circle aren't teaching you anything. So you want to be around teachers, people who have guidance, people who have plenty of experience in life, especially the things that you're interested in. So you should definitely get in contact with some people like that. Um, just go out and do the things that you want to do for you. Sometimes even though it's kind of shunned, is really good to do things for yourself, to make yourself happy, to make yourself better. Like, of course, if you're like a people person, like I am a good portion of the time, sometimes you become like a people pleaser, and you constantly put people before you. That's okay in moderation, but you always got to look after yourself first, because if you're not good, how can you be good for somebody else? And how can you make them better when you're not doing the best yourself? And that and the self care involves, like I said, it's not only just the things that you put into your body, it's the things you put into your mind, things you put into your soul, and just going out and experiencing the things that you want to do. Like if it's something that you had your heart and your mind and your soul on doing, if you don't have the funds for it, save up a couple weeks, couple months, and go do that thing that you want to do. Because that experience can change your life, and you can meet people that can help elevate you to a different level of life. It's, like I said, life is all about growing and learning and being the best possible version of yourself. So you could be that person for the world to experience you and for you to teach people. And sometimes you don't even have to directly speak to people. Like showing an example of how to be is a really good teacher for everybody else as well. So if you're doing something that you love to do and you're excellent at it, people are going to take notice and they're going to want to either do the same thing or do better than you in that aspect of life. And sometimes all it needs is some people need is a little bit of encouragement.
One thing that I think helps me to develop my intellects is to do it unconditionally. I think if when I start to impose conditions on my skill set, that can be a hindrance of my growth, such as regarding the interpersonal intellect, also known as people smart. If I were to hypothetically impose a condition that I will only speak to someone if they speak to me first, I think that could be a hindrance of that particular intellect, because sometimes one have to be bold enough to initiate a conversation with someone, which to me is a voluntary act. And there is no, when it comes to volunteering, there's no expectation of a return, which is a condition. And so sometimes it's possible that you may initiate a conversation with someone and they may not respond, but the intent isn't to get a response. It's more to engage with someone who isn't yourself, and hopefully they will respond, which can help to develop a relationship and cultivate and grow that particular intellect. And so, what I want to ask Billy is, if he were to, because I'm all about helping for one to discover more about themselves. So I want to ask him if he chose to do a voluntary act without conditions, which act would it be that hopefully would give him a better sense of himself?
Hmm. I, I think I think it might be time to invest myself into becoming like uh what we talked about earlier, like a somewhat social media, not necessarily like influencer, but somebody who gives like like words of affirmation, being an example of a person like in good mental, emotional, and spiritual health. and to give advice to people who actually need it, who are actually searching for like personal and like self development. I think that might be my next step.
Okay.
Of
We're, we're,
course,
we're
of
going
course,
we're going to move on to
of
the
course.
next and final section
And
of
that,
the.
and I might also do an open mic to see if my armchair comedy is a little bit better than I think it is. Just to get out there and try it out. You know, um, like I said, the best teacher in life is experience. So I'm gonna have to go out there and then tell a few of my crazy pawn shop stories, crazy stuff that happens in life and fast food. Like I have like so many different random so many different random things that's happened to me that don't make any sense whatsoever. But I have a way to explain it to make people laugh. So I think I might be able to delve in that as well. Just to get my feet wet in it.
We're going to
Okay.
move on to the next section, in the final section of the podcast. It's called the Interpreting Expression Quote. So sometimes I happen upon quotes that I think are relevant to growth, and I like to present them in the podcast. And the the intention is to provide an interpretation of the quote from my perspective, and hopefully the interpretation can also come from the featured guest, so that our interpretations can inspire growth in one another and also growth in the listeners as well. So today's interpreting expression quote is: atoms are invisible, yet make up everything visible. That should have said visible. Atoms are invisible, yet make up everything visible. Same for you. Your efforts might seem invisible, but are the moving parts in creating the visible changes you hope to manifest. So I'm going to ask Billy what his interpretation of this quote is, and then I'll share mine.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me get it from. Yeah. Because the recording and the time is in the way.
I'm going to read it for him.
For me, it means no matter how insignificant you feel that you are, you matter at the end of the day. So as long as you're doing something that's beneficial to yourself and and beneficial to others, no matter if people are watching you do it or not, you're actually making an impact. So just keep pressing forward, keep being positive, keep loving and nurturing yourself so you can better love and nurture others, and you can be like a better person. And because the better you are, the better you can impact this world that we're living in. Because no, because everything that you do, everything that you've done in life has led you here. So if you're constantly moving forward and you're not stagnant, you're impacting somebody in a positive way, whether you know it or not. Like, because they're pretty sure there are people who are depending on you to be here to help keep their life in a better and positive aspect. Especially if you have lots of friends and family members that you love and care about. I'm pretty sure they feel the same way about you. You're constantly working and moving peace to help keep their lives better.
And I'm going to ask him what experience could he reference in his life that could exemplify this quote.
Uh, like my mom had a stroke back in 2000, and she hasn't been able to do too many things for herself because she's paralyzed on her right side. And sometimes I feel like I don't do enough for her because I'm her primary caretaker. So there have been times where I'd be like, man, I need to do a lot more for her than what I do because I take care of her, I make sure she's fed, I make sure she goes to her doctor's appointments and things like that. And sometimes I feel like that's like not enough. But if it weren't for me doing these things, her health would have faltered. So I gotta not be so hard on myself because I'm doing what I can and what I'm supposed to do to make sure her life is a lot smoother than what it would be. There are people out there that have parents or they have somebody that they could be taking care of that they're not, and things aren't going the best for that person who is not in good health. So as long as I'm keeping myself happy, as long as I'm keeping myself healthy, as long as I'm exercising, putting the right things in my body and my mind and my spirit and in my psyche, then I'm a benefit to her and the people that are around me. So I just got to keep being positive, not being so hard on myself, and then continue to love and nurture myself and love and nurture the people that are around me in my relationships. Because that means a lot more than I'll ever know to the people that I have in my life.
And my well, from what he was saying, it seems like his initiatives to be a caretaker to his mom is the moving parts that help to sustain her growth by being assistance to her, which then is on a day-to-day basis manifesting production in terms of his relationship with her, because it's possible, should he choose not to be her caretaker, that without the proper support, her life could be in decline due to her inability to use the right side of her body. So his efforts are seemingly being manifested in his life by seeing her being able to talk, communicate with him, and also have some sort of happiness through his supportiveness as her son and also his caretaker. And so I'm going to just mention this to him briefly.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And she tells me all the time that she loves and appreciates me. She can be a bit much, but then again, that's mom's for you. Like she's always been an excellent mom to me. It's like I was spoiled, even though I worked for everything that I had. My mom was spoiled me and my a lot, like me and my sister. So it's like it's pretty much time to pay that forward. Seeing as though at once I was a baby and I wasn't able to do things for myself. Now that she has had this health issue, she's not able to do things for herself the way she wants to. But I'm able bodied enough to do those things for her, and she loves me and appreciates me for it.
Hmm.
Like even though we both get on each other's nerves a lot, we're both still here for it,
Hmm.
and that's the blessing of it in it all. We're both still here.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So my interpretation of this quote is
I'll be right
sometimes
back. Give me one quick second.
sometimes I think with conditions we won't establish the efforts that can manifest the outcomes that we hope to experience. So this is something that I try to be avoidant of. I try to be intentional and aware that my efforts can be of benefit, but without the expectation that the outcomes will manifest per se, or they may not manifest, but in the present, I can utilize the opportunities to develop my skills, and hopefully through my efforts of developing my skills, the universe will be appreciative of that versus me just being stagnant. And through my efforts, and I can experience manifestations of more opportunities that can help me to develop as an individual. And I think one reference that I would refer to is I donate to a college fund, and I've been donating to this college fund for I think the last 5 years. And I did it because I sensed that, similar to myself, these
All right, I'm
these
back.
these students are seemingly intentionally going to school to develop their skill sets in terms of their intellect, and also their ability to uh, be in the workforce. And so these types of efforts are relatable to myself because I reflect those types of behaviors as well. I want to contribute to a professional workforce, which is an opportunity for me to grow within that experience. And so this is why I chose to donate to this college fund. And the manifestation of that experience is throughout the year, I will receive letters from the organization that is the liaison that distributes the donations to these individuals who are going to school. And they come in the forms of thank you letters from the students, updates on their how they're doing in school, and also I get phone calls from the organization, that is the nonprofit organization that just calls and tells me, like, I thank you for your consistency and contributing to helping these students to on a path to success in terms of schooling and professionalism. And so the you know I don't expect to see that type of stuff, but it seems like I attract these experiences in my life as a result of my efforts, and these moving parts are seemingly reactionary to what I initiate. So I'm just gonna tell him really briefly what I said to y'all.
Nice, nice. I commend you for that because I know it's a lot of people out there that really need the help, especially during this day and age with um, tuition and school just being at astronomical prices. Yes, the school system is crazy, man. So
So,
any extra help that you give out, I know is appreciated. Whether it's people's supplies or their books for their classes, I'm pretty sure everything helps. So like I said, I commend you for that.
and so now we have reached the end of the Journey of Self Growth podcast, episode 27. I appreciate everyone who tuned in. If you desire to be a future guest on the show, you're invited to do so by reaching out to me on Instagram at KeetonRaps. And you can also follow Billy on Instagram at Billy Ray Cool AF. I'm going to ask him what his parting words will be as we end this episode, and then I will share my parting words as well.
Uh, Love yourself. Take care of yourself. The people that are around you, that are for you, even the ones that are not. Pray for them. Pray for your health. Pray for their health. And just do your best to become a better person and to be better at life so you can enjoy things a lot more than what you are right now. It's like tomorrow is not a promise. So live for today, and live good.
Thank you, Bill.
Of course.
And my parting words would be, um, don't be. I think my parting words are opportunities are quite humbling. I asked the question to my coworker the other day. What could be more valuable than an opportunity? Because when it seems to like when I think of an opportunity, it's an experience that is a manifestation of an intentionality to want to better oneself. I think it's like a for those who intend to better themselves, such as applying for a job or working out on eating healthy, to experience an opportunity to continue down that course is quite a humbling experience because those opportunities aren't guaranteed. So to experience something like that is something that I value a lot in terms of growth overall. And also, I will say when it comes to growth, it is something that I encourage people to not expect validation for. I think that growth starts from the inside. And so, I mean, when it comes from if growth starts from the inside, how can one expect to be validated when people on the outside can't see within? I mean, they can experience your efforts in the present and commend you or tell you, they appreciate what you're doing, but to expect it, I think, can hinder one's growth, because the expectations seem to also be a condition in order for one to conduct oneself in general. So I would say when it comes to growth, it seems like it's an act that should not seemingly may not be validated by someone. So my slogan for the Journey of Growth podcast is no validation expected, but is welcomed. I thank everybody for joining in today. I hope everyone will enjoy the rest of the weekend. I appreciate you all. Good day.